All right, fellas, we are gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try something different in this video today. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and take down all of the most challenging content that Dokkan has to offer in one fell swoop. So in one video, we're gonna take down Cell Max and then the 3 toughest Red Zone fights. Of course, being Red Zone Omega, Red Zone Broly, and then Red Zone Metal Cooler Core. It's going to be in that order. I'll go ahead and put some timestamps in the video. I don't ordinarily do this, but for a 27-minute video, we'll go ahead and I'll put some timestamps. Considering it's segmented like that, I'll go ahead and do that. No problem at all. So we're going to be highlighting Piccolo's team today in this video. So Piccolo's team, of course, is Battle of Wits and Superheroes. Now, from my experience so far using Piccolo's team, you're primarily using just the superhero team, right? Like, it's basically a full movie heroes team. Not technically it isn't, but the version of Piccolo's team you want to be using is basically a movie heroes team. The only Battle of Wits unit I really find myself using is the STR, Long Arms Piccolo. He's really the only one I find myself using on that Battle of Wits portion of his leader skill. It's not to say Battle of Wits is a bad category. I just feel like for what you're trying to do, like, that's really, I don't know. To me, the best options are just on the superhero team. I mean, that's it, right? That's really the long and the short of it. Now, for this in particular, this, little segment of the video, this is Cell Max. So Cell Max is going to he's going to go down the easiest, right? All of these units do boosted damage against Cell Max. Here is the Beast Gohan active skill, by the way. Absolutely stunning. Even here in 2x speed, it's stunning. Cell Max certainly provides his own set of challenges, but now that we have these boost characters, he kind of goes down like a punk in a lot of ways. He can, of course, still catch you. I mean, of course he can, you know what I mean? He can definitely still tag you. I mean, he's doing basically like a 2 million damage super attack, you know what I mean? So if you get caught, you get caught, but in the end, there's not limited tries. You have literally unlimited tries. You could literally spend all day trying to beat Cell Max. And even if you have just a couple of these characters, he should go down relatively easy. So, but talking about Piccolo, so here is Piccolo. He's in his giant form. I feel like you look at Power Awaken Piccolo and everything that he's doing. If you just took Power Awaken Piccolo and he had no Orange Piccolo transformation, I still think he's a top 5 unit in the game. I do like the way how he builds up upon getting hit. I think that's always a good idea to add on these cards. However, on this superhero team, there's kind of a lot of units that need to do it, especially if you're running 2 Piccolos. So you've got 2 Piccolos and then a Gamma 1 who all need to build up upon getting hit. And on top of that, you have a lot of units that build up by doing a lot of attacks. So it does kind of present a little bit of a problem where to get the most out of these units, there's not enough. These bosses are doing too much damage and like they don't have enough HP almost to get every single character built up every single fight. It's not feasible in a lot of fights. So, but anyway, you look at Power Awaken Piccolo, everything he does between his damage reduction, he has guard for the first 3 turns. I mentioned the way he builds up. He's greatly raising defense on super. He's good, like just Power Awaken Piccolo. You get him with a support unit or 2 on rotation. I have him with 2 dupes, and he's shelling out. I saw him the other day shell out a 19 million attack stat. Just laid down his big orange dick with a 19 million attack stat. You know what I mean? So he is absolutely insane. Just as Power Awaken Piccolo. Now, kind of putting that in a vacuum, like I said, I still think he's kind of like a top 5 unit in the game-ish. And then you take that Orange Piccolo transformation, the giant form transformation of Orange Piccolo, and to me, he's like the easy, far and away, clear #1 unit. He is so good. He can absolutely, you'll see it in this video. he'll just absolutely bail you out of any fight that you're in. Whether you're trying to get through a tough phase of like, let's just say you're trying to get through the AoE phase of Broly, or maybe his last phase, or, you know, you're trying to finish off the core, or whatever, dude. Like, you've got that active skill starting from the 3rd turn, if you've got a full superheroes lineup, or starting from the 6th turn against one enemy. So I think oftentimes you're going to just have a full superheroes team. Like I said, the only time you're really not going to is if you're running that Battle of Wits Piccolo, the STR Piccolo, Movie Hero Support. So again, him in a vacuum, just Power Awakening Piccolo, I feel like is a top 5 unit, but you tack on this incredibly damaging active skill transformation, dude. He's number 1 easily. I mean, he can absolutely just solo fights for you. It's kind of wild to see. It's crazy how you get, let's just say, like, so we're in the Omega fight right now. It's going to take us a while to get to Int Omega. So in Omega, it's going to take us, I don't know, maybe 7 turns or so to get to Int Omega. And then all of a sudden, you get to Int Omega, you use his active skill transformation, and he takes down half of Omega's health. You know what I mean? And it makes the fight just so much easier, and he cannot take damage in his giant form. So Piccolo, man, he is the man. Again, he is number 1. To me, if you want to argue Vegeta and Trunks or some other unit, I guess you can argue it. I just don't really agree with it. I feel like we are playing different games. Like, that's really how I would answer that. Is I feel like we're playing different games. We're just completely different planets, universes. So anyway, let's go ahead and pick up with this Omega fight as Piccolo delivers a special beam cannon. So this Omega fight can be very, very annoying. So really the reason why it's so annoying is this first phase. This guy can just completely throw you off. This LR Shadow Dragons just completely throw off everything you're trying to plan. He can lock you and he can seal you. And in any given turn, he can do both. And it's so demoralizing when you feel like you're going to get a good rotation, or your rotations are going to set up in a certain way, and then all of a sudden, you know, he locks you. Bam. It's so aggravating, especially when you're going for a no-item run. You can easily just bring a Dende, or you can bring a Senzu Bean, and you can combat that. But, you know, otherwise, man, it can be very, very annoying. Now, after you get past the LR Shadow Dragons, Omega, dude, so this STR Sin Shenron, he starts to hit very, very hard. So he hits hard, and then, of course, Int Omega hits even harder than him. So, but even this second phase of Omega Shenron, man, this STR Omega, or excuse me, I guess it's STR Sin Shenron, he can still blast you, you know what I mean? So this is going to be Piccolo's kind of toughest test, in my opinion, just having the type disadvantage in 2 of the 3 phases. Definitely going to be his toughest test. Now, it works out okay in the beginning when he's got guard, but when he doesn't have that guard up anymore, listen, man, he's still rocking a boatload of defense, and if you can get him to drop below 30% HP, then he can go ahead and full heal you, and he gets an additional 30% damage reduction. So if you're able to get that, he becomes like number 1 far and away, right? If you can get that to activate, but that it is 30% is not always the easiest to get. Matter of fact, in all of these runs, I didn't get it one time. You know what I mean? So it's not just always free and easy you're gonna get it. I feel like the spot where you could probably get it easiest would be, I mean, I guess Red Zone. Red Zone is where it's intended to be activated, right? Because you have to also get hit 7 times. So in Super Battle Road, I was going to say Super Battle Road, but I don't feel like getting hit 7 times is something that happens commonly. Maybe over the course of a couple of turns, but getting that full heal, regardless of where you get it, getting that full heal is very, very helpful. And again, this is just the cheat code, right? This is an actual cheat code. You get this Piccolo to come out, man, you basically win. And even against this Omega, you're still going to do some just free damage to him, right? So even though you have type disadvantage here, you still get the 5 free crit from the hidden potential system, right? Even at 55%. So you should be able to still do some free damage to this Int Omega. Now, obviously, it's going to be a bit easier if you have a dupe or two in him. But again, it's free damage, right? And remember that Piccolo, dude, he can be giant for 3 full turns. Which means, in theory, now, it would... the odds, I don't know what percent chance you'd have of this happening. You could potentially do 27 super attacks from this giant form Piccolo in a row. I mean, again, is that very likely? No. But each turn, you think about it, you can do 9 super attacks. You could potentially get the transformation for 3 full turns. And again, as I mentioned, so I actually don't know, is it turn 7? It is indeed turn 7. And again, it's going to be turn 7 for a while, so... You know, Piccolo is also going to be useful in the future if there are ever any more of these, like, turn-restricted... Like, we did get that for the Broly and the Omega fights, I believe. I don't know if we did for the Cooler Core. I know we did for Broly and Omega, right? For Red Zone beating it in a certain amount of turns, right? So Piccolo would certainly be useful for a mission like that. I know we did get a Cell Max mission, where, again, you get Piccolo, you can beat Cell Max in 3 turns. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. So, again, we take down half of Omega Shenron's health, and here we are, man, we're in a really, really good position to win. And assuming, again, you've got a couple more of these kind of this supporting cast around Piccolo, it's tough to lose with this team, man. The right combination of units and such. It's tough to lose. What I think this team really could use, I know that people don't like this type of unit, but the straight up, the start of turn, just badass, right? That doesn't need to build up at all. Because I mentioned this earlier in the video. There's the Beast Gohan again, by the way. I still love this active skill. Think what you want of this unit, but god damn, that looks good. But again, I mentioned it earlier where, like, you've got a lot of these units who... You know, you have to get hit, you have to do so many attacks, you have to do this, you have to do that to build these characters up. And it really starts to become a bit of a chore to build these characters up. So I really think this team is probably missing something like that. And if you want to say Battle of Wits, or you want to say, you know, I'll just say the superhero team, right? It seems to be the new hotness. It seems to be kind of the most fun team to use, in my opinion, right now. That and Final Form Cooler's team. I still do love that team. And we're going to get the addition of AGL Gogeta. So that's going to be absolutely just sick nasty to add on this team. Whether you're running the Piccolo rendition or you're running the Ultimate Gohan edition of this team. So we'll go ahead and switch gears here. We're taking down Broly. Broly can certainly be a kind of a tricky fight. So the one gimmick that Broly has that none of the other Red Zone bosses have is he disallows dodging, right? So you cannot dodge against any of the phases of Broly. This certainly does add, you know, quite a bit of difficulty to the event. You know, dodging is really one of the most powerful things you can do in this game. It really is. You know, considering how hard these big time bosses hit. Remember that power creep, man, it ain't going nowhere, as they say, right? It's not going anywhere. You know, these events are only going to get harder and harder. So, you know, coming up, we're getting more new stages of the Red Zone, right? So we just got the Dr. Gero and 19 Red Zone, and then of course we got the Red Ribbon Army Red Zone, and then coming up soon, just announced, we're getting the Cell. And then followed by him, I believe, are the Gammas, right? So it's either Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, or it's both in the same Red Zone stage. I imagine it's both in the same Red Zone stage. That would be my guess. So, again, you know, the power level of these bosses are only going to get tougher. I think I really do like the way that Red Zone is designed. Limiting items really does seem to add a great degree of difficulty to these events. You look at things so you look at Super Battle Road, being able to use 4, and that obviously goes for Extreme Super Battle Road. You can use 8 items. You can basically use an item almost every turn in Super Battle Road. Almost, right? There are occasions where maybe it might, like, the items might not overlap, and you might have to go one turn with no items. But mostly, if you strategize correctly in Super Battle Road, you'll be able to get through it, right? With 8 items. And then you kind of look at, like, the legendary events. Legendary Goku event, I believe you could still use 4 items. I believe there are 4 item slots available, although it's been a minute since I've done that one. GT Legendary Goku event and Legendary Vegeta event, you get 2 item slots. And then, of course, Cell Max and Red Zone, you only get 1. God event was 1 item, of course. So, again, I think limiting items is certainly a way to add a lot of difficulty to these difficult events. So, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is definitely a strategy you can employ against Broly. So Broly, easily the most annoying phase is the AoE phase. It just seems so incredibly unfair. There are so few units in the game that can just straight up tank Broly's AoE. So few. I mean, you're looking at a couple of them on this team, but again, it just seems so wildly unfair. He's doing like 900k in each slot. It's just so crazy. And the fact that he can just right off the rip hit you with an AoE, it's just so unfair. So what you can do is you can use Piccolo, right? So he's certainly going to be a really good way to get through this, to kind of cheese through this AoE phase. You know, being able to basically take down all of his health. I don't recall exactly, I don't think we kill him, but it's very close. A little bit more RNG going our way. We could have, I think, easily one turn, well, technically it's a 1 turn, right? But we could have kind of one-shotted Broly with Piccolo's active skill transformation here. So we have talked a lot about the big benefits of Piccolo and what makes him so good. I think just like any unit in the game, he certainly does have flaws. There is not a perfect unit in the game. I think Piccolo's design is very, very good. I think it still does have some holes. I think one hole that you will find is some of these teams, they do so much damage, right? That sometimes the floating unit does not even get to attack. So if you leave Piccolo just completely out, just like with his nuts hanging in the wind, it can get a little hairy for you. It really can. So if you float Piccolo, if you float off one of the Piccolos, he doesn't get to attack, he doesn't get hit at all, and all of a sudden, you know, it's turn 5 or something, or turn 4, and he's got nothing. And remember, he loses his guard after 3 turns. That can be scary for Piccolo. And he's not just Mr. Invincible, right? Now, once you get him hit and built up a bit, with his damage reduction and such, he can get good. But again, a fully non-built-up Piccolo, again, take my word for it, right? From experience, right? He ain't all that. But once he gets built up, he really is. And I think specifically once you get him, if you can, I know it's steep, but if you can get him 30% HP or below, man, he is truly the best unit in the game. No question about it. Units with 50% damage reduction, you look at Gamma 1, dude, he's probably the best defensive unit in the game, probably, or LR Golden Frieza. I mean, he's right up there, right? You know what I mean? So these damage reduction units, man, along with, you know, big-time defensive stats, it really is the way to go. It makes you kind of wonder why they didn't give Gohan any damage reduction. I know they were going for a full offensive thing. It almost makes me wonder, like, did they even playtest these units? Like, Orange Piccolo is so far and away better than Gohan. It kind of is a little sickening, right? How much better he really is than Gohan. Gohan can output some really... Gohan looks pretty, right? Like, he can output, you know... He'll get you a 16 million attack stat, a 9 million attack stat, and a 10 million attack stat. Like, he can look disgusting, right? But again, you compare that to what Piccolo does. As I mentioned, he can do 27 super attacks. It just doesn't even seem real. You know what I mean? In that orange Piccolo form. So, honestly, okay, so I wanted to make sure that he still had his guard activated, which I believe he did, the Gamma 1. I believe he did, because I don't think we got him until turn 2. So I think he still has it. I could be wrong there, but I forget how this ends up going. But that's what I was looking at there. So I did my best. You're going to notice a lot of the same units in these runs. I really did my best to change it up the best you can. But the no item runs for these bosses, I mean, they're not for the faint of heart, right? I mean, they're still tough no item runs. I think in a lot of ways, like if RNG kind of goes your way, yeah, you can kind of clown some of these bosses, but I think in a lot of ways, you still have to get fairly lucky. You know what I mean? So the moral of that story is there's quite a bit of overlap with the units in these runs. Had a little bit more flexibility. I brought Pan in that first run, but I wouldn't really... I don't know, man. Pan does not impress me all that much. Pan can be good. Once she gets a dodge, of course, you know, she gets a lot of like extra attack and stuff, but I don't know. Again, I wouldn't dare bring Pan, of course, in this Broly fight where she can't dodge at all. She is absolutely a sitting duck. She won't survive anything without dodging. No way at all. No way in hell. So you can utilize her in the other fights, but I chose not to bring her. But again, you know, you're going to see Vegeta and Trunks. You're going to see the Long Arms Piccolo. You're going to see Gamma 1, Gamma 2. You're going to see Ultimate Gohan, right? God Goku. It's just a very common thread, right? The LR Gods. Did I bring the LR Gods in this run? I don't remember. It looks like I didn't. No, I brought Vegeta and Trunks instead. So in my opinion, this is the toughest fight in the game coming up in the Metal Cooler Core. I really feel like this fight is the creme de la creme toughest fight in the game. I think Broly does have a very tough gimmick. Preventing dodging, I mean, sure, that sucks. I mean, no doubt about that, but I just feel like Metal Cooler, he just seems to hit harder. He hits you in the most inopportune times. He can seal you. He can do it all, right? Like, he's got a lot more gimmicks than Broly does, right? Broly can't lock your rotations, you know what I mean? So I want to say he does it right off the bat. I kind of forget. But luckily what he does do, even though he can do all these things, is you do have this first phase of just the LR Metal Cooler army. So that does help. It does give you an opportunity to set up your rotations. I'm still a firm believer in rotations. I think that you really want units. Yeah, you want the whole team to link up well. And I think there are a lot of situations where, you know, sometimes you have to leave the unit that you had previously floated off and this kind of thing. Of course, like that kind of thing exists. But I'm still a firm believer in running rotations. You know, STR Piccolo and Tech Piccolo, that's a rotation I want to run. You know what I mean? Like I want to run them together if at all possible. And ordinarily it is. Again, you can get cucked sometimes, but mostly I feel like, you know, running units on rotation, I don't know. I think there's this misnomer that like you can't run rotations anymore. And I don't really understand why. You want to maximize these units' links. Links are so important nowadays. You definitely want to be activating, like on Piccolo, you definitely want to be activating like the Namekian's link, for instance. That's a very, very powerful link. Gives you some healing. I believe it's healing. Is it healing, attack, defense? Now, that being said, this is one of those instances where this is not really a quote-unquote a rotation I want to be running. But I'm setting it up for next turn, right? I'm leaving Gamma 1 on rotation here. And I'm linking him up with, you know, not so good of a linking partner in, you know, Ultimate Gohan. But because Gamma 2 is coming back around the bend, you know what I mean? And that is definitely, dude, that is, speaking of rotations, man, that's one of the best in the game, right? Gamma 1 in slot 1, Gamma 2 in slot 2. It does not get much better in terms of TUR rotations, dude. I mean, sharing 6 of 7, that rotation is ridiculous, right? So, but guys, let me know what you think of all these runs so far. And if you've made it, we're on minute 24. If you've made it this far, man, slap a big fat like on this video because you did it, right? Like, you've made it this far. We're here against the Metal Cooler Core, right? So here is this rotation of STR Piccolo and Tech Piccolo. Sharing 4 of 7 links is very, very good. That's a good link buddy right there. So they've got Namekians, Brainiacs, Fierce Battle, and Solid Support. I believe those are the 4 that they're sharing. So really, really nice pairing right here. You know, you're able to, honestly, you can kind of rock either one in slot 1. I feel like probably STR Piccolo, you want to be rocking in slot 1, ordinarily, right? He has extra damage reduction per movie hero. He's got guard. He builds up upon getting hit as well. He's crazy, right? So all of this footage you're seeing of that STR movie hero support Piccolo, he's 55%. I've only ever pulled 1 copy of him. So everything you see him do, 55%. Kind of crazy, right? What he can do. Even just, again, 1 copy seems to be all you need of that guy. So he is absolutely wild and crazy. Makes a very, very good link buddy for Piccolo. Luckily, so many of these units are self-sufficient for key. Yeah, maybe the key links, they matter, of course. Like, you want units to have key links. I mean, you know, cry in LR Ultimate Gohan, right? You definitely want him to have some key links. He and Piccolo can struggle on occasion for key. But luckily, they have the LR Gohan mechanic, right? The OG LR Gohan mechanic. They're getting +1 key per key sphere obtained. That really seems to bode well for them, right? I rarely struggle getting the 18 key, but I must just get lucky with orbs. So right here, I was going to try and not use the active skill, because again, it just feels like cheating. You know what I mean? When you use the Piccolo active skill, but I think this was my 3rd attempt of the day. So I wanted to make sure that I got the W, you know, assured victory. And this would definitely do that. Get the assured victory. So I've done an awful lot of chatting with you guys in this video today. Let me know what you think of these teams in the comments below. Let me know if you think Piccolo is #1. I think he's easily #1. If you think someone else is #1, let me know that too in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right now. Slap a like if you enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing if you are new. I love all of you guys. Thank you for your support. You guys mean the world to me, for real. And I'll catch you in the next one. Later.